Hi, everybody. Welcome to our webinar about eMods, SME, and HomeMAPS. And we're really happy that you're here. I'll take a few minutes here, a very short time, to first talk about the housekeeping for our webinar environment. We can introduce ourselves too. I'm Kara Thrasher Livingston with the Senior Disability Services Training. And my co-presenters here, we have Maggie Winston, also with SDS, and Sherry Von Wolf with our HomeMAPS program. So if you want to just jump in and say hi, go ahead.
Good morning. Hello, everyone. This is Sherry. Glad to see you all or hear you.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today.
All right. Awesome. I'm going to show myself my audience view so I can see what you're looking at here. So in order to get the best experience out of our webinar, what you want to do is, as a participant, take a look at your control panel. There should be a taskbar or a control panel where you can see your name, and you might be able to see a list of others who are also attending the webinar. You'll see a little area where you can open up and you can text in to us your questions and comments. It might be a little red arrow or a little red square with an arrow in it if you need to open it up. So since this is a go-to webinar, our main way of interacting with each other will be through that text. And then we'll do our presentation, and we'll do a Q&A. You can text in your comments and questions at any point, but we'll do more like a Q&A towards the end of it. But I would like you to locate that question area and just go ahead and write something for us in there, right? Good morning or hi or anything. Just let me know that you can see it, and you can enter some text in there. Hello to you and Juno. Welcome everybody. Happy holidays and good morning to you. And I'm seeing a whole lot of people write in, and we do have about, I think, 30 people here in our presentation right now. So that's awesome, and I really appreciate that. So that is how I know that you're able to use the controls, and you can also find a little hand that you can raise. So if you see a little circle with a hand in it, go ahead and click that and give us a high five here this morning. Let us know that you can see that hand, you can hear me, and you can use that little hand to get our attention in case the audio drops or something like that. The internet is interesting. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. If you happen to lose audio during this broadcast, the best thing to do really is to exit the webinar and then just come back in using the same link that you used to join. Believe it or not, that's kind of like the trick and the twist for GoTo to restore its audio. But you can always use that hand to get our attention in the event that you want to tell us that our audio is missing or you have lost audio. We can go back in and maybe give you a comment. We also do have Delight Mills with us here, a member of our training team, and so she will probably be working on answering your questions from within the text chat. If there's an answer in writing, or maybe there's something like sort of off topic or something like that that you will ask, she will assist with that. And so that being said, we'll go ahead and move to our agenda, and I am showing our agenda. Again, we are welcoming you to today's training. The goal of today's training is really thinking about eMods and SME and HomeMAPS and controlling one's environment from the standpoint of somebody who uses that environment, somebody we may serve as a care coordinator, or somebody who's experiencing living with disability. If you're a care coordinator and you're looking for a technical training on how to fill out requests for eMods or different forms and different strategies and things like that, we do have, we're building our calendar right now for SDS trainings, and we will offer a training like that that addresses those topics on January 26th of the coming year from 1 to 3, and it'll be all about the ins and outs and how to request an eMod from the standpoint of being a care coordinator. And today will be very helpful for you because of its goals. Whoever is with us here, regardless of your role, because it'll be about empowering people to think about accessing and using their spaces and requesting items and changes that could help. And we hope to offer a presentation that's useful to anybody, who wants to learn about empowerment to use your personal space. So with that, I will go ahead and let you, Maggie, give us your introduction. Go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you, Kara. And welcome everybody again. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is a topic that's near and dear to my heart in particular, because I am an individual with a disability. I got a spinal cord injury when I was 21. So I have no functional use of my arms or my legs. I live with a significant disability, and as such, I'm a power wheelchair user. You might see this fancy a necklace around my neck that I use to drive with my face. So I have quite a bit of experience making my environment and empowering my staff and my family and friends to make my environment accessible to me. And I'm able to live and work and play in my home, in my community, because of the accessible environment that has, the lack of barriers that I now experience. So I have some experience with durable medical equipment, with specialized medical equipment, with assistive technology, all that have really enabled me to be able to live in my own home and to be able to thrive that way. And so it's a personal passion of mine to be able to help others be able to access the same types of accessibility needs that will empower you in your own home and in your own space. So I'm looking forward. I always learn more every time that we sit in this kind of stuff too. So Sherry is an absolute expert as well as Kara. So again, thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Maggie. Okay, so what we're going to do? Let me make sure I can see my agenda here. I have a small screen with lots of things on it, so I'm going to open that up. I'm going to go ahead and do a sort of quick presentation about a discussion. I'm inviting your discussion through questions as well about EMODs and SME, environmental modifications, and specialized medical equipment. And I am going to go ahead and share my screen. And I'm just going to keep it in this mode. It's a little bit easier for me to see the next slides that are coming and things like that. So, pardon me while I shift things around a little bit. Okay. So environmental modifications, specialized medical equipment, what is it and how do I request it? So I wanted to first start out with essential thoughts. This is about accessing your home and community places. The Medicaid home and community-based waiver can pay for a construction company that does work, the work that they do to change your home spaces to fit them better to your needs. And it can also pay for items that help you use your home spaces, and it can pay for items that help you use things that you might use every day, like your vehicle, and other ways that you would basically care for yourself within your home and your community. But you would need an equipment piece in order to be able to do that. And this would be equipment that I would need because of a medical condition. So I wanted to throw in here a little bit about DME. We do get a lot of questions about durable medical equipment versus specialized medical equipment versus environmental modifications. And there are three different things. A durable medical equipment is something that I need to use because I experience a medical condition. And this is equipment that I would need to use over and over because of that medical condition. Okay, so it's something like a wheelchair, the accessories to it, um, maybe a specialized communication device that's only used for communication, maybe an adjustable bed like a hospital bed, a walker, things like that. These are things that a medical provider would prescribe and order for me from the company. They would also get a new one if I need it. There are schedules of replacement for equipment. So, if something needs to be repaired, then that's a different story than if I am a child and I grow out of my wheelchair. That would be why I might need a new equipment like that. Okay, but this is all handled through the medical provider, and the medical provider teaches me how to use it, or teaches others who help me how to use that equipment too, how to help me use it. So at the essence of Medicaid, and the benefits that arise from Medicaid to help me live and work and enjoy my community as others around me who don't happen to use Medicaid, is that a person is living with a medical condition. And this is a medical condition that isn't going to change. It's not expected to change. A person is living with this, and their this needs are ongoing. The support needs are ongoing. Okay. A person needs help accessing the home and community, including communicating, like others the same age who don't have a medical condition. So there are other people who are my age, don't have a medical condition. So what I need is I need items and services to help me access my whole home life, my community life, like another person who isn't in, it doesn't use Medicaid for these things, does. All right. And then without this help, the person would have to live in a facility that gives that help. And there isn't anyone else or anything else that can do it. Okay. So it's really sort of narrowing down, who these things are for, and more importantly, what they do for the person, in terms of meeting needs for support. And so now I'm going to talk a little bit about specialized medical equipment. Specialized medical equipment, it gets a little confusing because sometimes you see things, people see things out in the world and they're like, oh, it just looks like an easy chair and I could get that, or, that type of thing. That's why I wanted to put medical necessity in the beginning of it, because all of this is based on that. That's just a foundational level. So specialized medical equipment is something that my medical professional prescribes, and my care coordinator would request it through the waiver. There are certain items on a list of specialized medical equipment, and this list is usually reviewed every couple years. It's a standard list, so I need to make sure that my request for specialized medical equipment is something that is on this list of approved things that can be paid under specialized medical equipment. So how would I know that? Short answer is I would talk to my care coordinator and they could introduce those things to me. I might talk first about what it is that I need. I might best identify this through what it is that I need to have done and how I wish to have that done. And then we could match that with some of the items on a specialized medical equipment list. Okay, so it's really all about the person. It's possible that some of these needs could be met with an SME. And what are some examples? Hand controls that could be installed in a vehicle. If the person does not use their feet to drive it, they could use hand controls to do the same thing. People could get into and out of their vehicle with or without help. They could drive it using their hands. And that could be covered under SME. Wheelchair van lift equipment is another example. Things like adaptive eating utensils, Could be a portable ramp that you fold and take with you. It could possibly be a reclining lift chair. And this is a recliner that lifts you up. It's a mobility adapted chair for people who can walk, they just need help getting out of the chair. Could be certain, or maybe getting in, could be certain EMOD repairs to certain EMOD items. Stair chair, a ceiling lift, a platform lift. Those are equipments that allow a person to be lifted and they can get to another surface in their home, either through a ceiling track or perhaps a platform lift, and they could go from one surface to another, and they need lifting for that. There might be repairs to those items if it would, has a repair schedule or does need repair. Can be repairs to that reclining lift chair. It can also cover a lot of other items. I don't have the entire list posted, but I'm hoping that you get the idea, and we can look at the list, and I can give you a link to it too if you wanted to review that. Again, I know that mostly we probably have care coordinators here with us. That list is something that you want to keep in mind, because if a request is outside of that list, then it would have to be, we would have to pursue, a care coordinator would have to pursue another way to get that need met if possible, or to have a discussion about that. So we have our wheelchair van lift picture here, a picture of what that might look like. There are other types. This is one type. It's just a picture of it, so it's easy to visualize that. This is a picture of a portable ramp, which folds up kind of like a suitcase. A person, brings this with them to do things like maybe this outside of a van, or maybe while you're accessing a community place and there are just a couple of stairs where you could go up, something like that. They're available in different lengths, and they would be something that you would take with you. And this is not installed into a home or anything like that. It's a portable ramp. And adaptive eating utensils would be so a person is assisted to eat with equipment that a person can hold and manipulate and use to eat their food. So again, there's more. I couldn't find a picture of every single item, nor do we have time to review every single one, but we can certainly talk about that. If you have questions about SME, we can certainly answer them. And this would be a picture of a chair that lifts a person up, or otherwise allows the mobility aid to enter and exit the chair. And again, it is something that is prescribed, and because everything in Medicaid has a time limit, meaning once every 5 years you can have hand controls installed in a vehicle. Those limitations on that item are available on the SME list, and a care coordinator could sort of articulate that for a person and say, well, you want to make sure it's going in a good car, so, because we're only going to get one set per number of years, that type of thing. For environmental modifications, a care coordinator requests it, and this is when a builder is needed to change your home spaces or install something so you can use it. You can use your home space. Widen a doorway. These are common ones. Have a ramp built to go into your home, or a roof for it, or both. Bathroom modifications like accessible toilet, counter height, roll-in shower, handrails and grab bars. It does not limited to particular room in your home. A ceiling or vertical platform lift for a person to go from surface to surface, place to place within the home. They need a lift for that. A stair chair, and the monetary limit is $18,500 for every 3 years. So a person will you'll track that through the requests available. You know, if you have ongoing requests that don't use all that money, then you might have a you know, a sense of or an accounting of what has been approved and spent. So this is just a picture of a chair on a stair and a roll-in shower with some grab bars and other related accessibility things like the seats and a nice long handheld shower, you know, shower head on a cord like that, and a permanent ramp built to a home. And of course, all these are going to be built, if it's built like this, it has to be built for accessible, it's built for accessibility. So the process of approval has to show that the builder understands things like the slope and the turning space needed for a wheelchair and things like that in order to make the ramp safe and compliant with the ADA specifications for a person to be able to get into and out of their home. Okay, I have just a few more slides and I see your questions, so we'll get to those in just a bit here. This says medical necessity. A lot of times when we teach it, we talk about what isn't an EMOD. An EMOD isn't going to be new construction. Okay, so if a home is being built, then it needs to be built to help that person access it. Also, EMODs wouldn't really be done or shouldn't be done if I'm going to move soon, because we don't take it out and put it in your next home. Okay. So if you're planning to move real soon, then I would say don't go there with the EMOD. It doesn't change the use of a room or size of a room. It doesn't convert, you know, something that used to be a laundry into a bathroom. It's just modifying what's already there. It's not duplication. Like if I have a ramp already to the front of my home, it wouldn't be for a ramp for the back of my home under waiver. Fences, outbuildings, yard improvements, or locks on doors and windows, or upgrades of regular home equipment like the heating system or windows or painting, these are all not going to come under EMOD. This is regular work that the homeowner would do. It wouldn't be done using equipment or materials that the person or their family or another person would supply. You know, like if I need to have, you know, a purple marble countertop to match my other purple marble countertop, then that wouldn't be part of, it's not allowed in an EMOD. They have to just use regular materials that the builder buys. And they can certainly get neutral colors, you know, but it isn't going to be anything but that. Oops. It's not something that's done for someone else. You know, if somebody says, well, it sure would be nice if I could, you know, have a little bit more space to move around here to help this person, because in the way I help them, I have to fit into this place. You know, if that is going to be, mods are done for the person, okay, not for somebody else. They are not done in licensed assisted living homes, except for family habilitation homes. They also have a license, but in those cases, the EMOD is allowed. And they can be done in a home that a person owns or a person rents, as long as the homeowner agrees that it's okay for the EMOD. It is not done in licensed settings, other than that family have. So what does a care coordinator do? If I have a care coordinator, what are they going to do to help me work through this process? The care coordinator will check into ways that the work could be done by other sources and just generally make sure that what is needed is truly an environmental modification. Maybe it's an SME, maybe it's something else. They would also check to see in the community if there are any programs that are available to provide this type of modification outside the waiver first. So there might be other sources that are available to get this done. They'll check for those things. They'll make a support plan or an amendment to request it, tell SDS what needs to be done and why. The care coordinator will take pictures of my home, all the entrances and exits, bathrooms, the bedrooms. that anything that is related to the modification I'm asking for example, if I need a modification to a bathroom, they'll need a picture of all the bathrooms in the home. The pictures need to show size and configuration of the spaces. The care coordinator will send a confidential email to all the builders who could do it, and the builders are certified and enrolled to bill Medicaid to do it. They'll send us, SDS, the pictures and the info about the builders so we can approve it. And my care coordinator would help me understand who's doing the work, what's being done, and how it'll be scheduled out. So if someone's going to come and build in my home, what does that mean to me? Will I have to not be home for a while? And what will that be like, that building process? They'll help the builder work with me and send info to Senior and Disability Services when the work is done so the builder can be paid through the waiver. And then this is my last slide. In the case, sometimes, I just wanted to throw it out there, sometimes if something gets denied, it's not necessarily bad. And when they think about medical necessity, this is going to be the framework, the window through which a care coordinator and you can look, a person can look to determine this need. Of course, people can do fair hearing for denials. Sometimes you can use that denial to access grant money or other resources to get an item. So perhaps a city or a local government might be able to use the info to help you get that item. There may be grants available through these resources. There are the mini grants that are done with our community partners' help to allow a person to purchase an item, a good or a service that is going to help them through grant sources, whether through the mini grant, whether they have a waiver or not. So sometimes the mini grants can help. And there might be other resources like Alaska Housing Finance Corporation, which can help people with aging in place modifications to their home. And so the little example I have of this is, I talked about communication devices. The communication devices that could potentially be covered by Medicaid are ones that are built for and only for communication. In other words, everybody uses the iPad now, but because the iPad does other things, they're not covered. They're not, you could look on the internet, you could do all kinds of things with an iPad. It's not considered a custom device to communicate. And so a lot of times people will be able to use a denial to ask for something like that through a mini grant, just to say, hey, I pursued it and it was denied. Okay, so I'm going to go to my questions here and very briefly take a look at what I have and try to answer a few. There was a question about finding a copy of current EMOD regulations, and thank you, Delight, for answering that. Of course, our regulations are on our website. Can funding be used to, hang on, let me open it up so I can see it a little better. There's a question that says, can funding be used to purchase used equipment such as a wheelchair van? A van itself is not going to be funded through SME, DME, or EMOD. So a person could explore community grants. They could do their own community fundraising, but we don't buy the van. Question about a split level home, 3 people using wheelchairs, one lives downstairs, one lives upstairs, I think I'm seeing. 2 live upstairs. This wouldn't be considered duplication. Let me make it bigger. If there's an EMOD for a home, we're not going to be able to install duplicate items that would potentially be used by all people living in the home. So my best answer for that would be like one install of an EMOD that all people could use would potentially be approved. have to take a look at that, you know, I mean, what makes sense. We don't have many builders right now, that's true. We have maybe about 6, I think, like a half a dozen right now. Comment says, make sure pictures for the EMOD requests are current. They have to be taken in the same 30-day time frame that in which the request is submitted. Yeah, we don't want to use super old pictures or just go on, you know, Google Satellite or something like that, or there's old pictures on there. So you want to somehow get a hold of those pictures. You know, you might be able to work with the person or somebody, you know, you could go to the home and use distance, you know, you could use your I want to say your COVID safe methods like a mask and social distancing in order to take a picture, or you could ask the person to take a picture and provide it to you. Resources, thank you. Grant program. And their website, Rural Cap and NeighborWorks. I will be able to include those in the follow-up email that we give to you with our materials and things like that. So would we clarify what EMOD providers we have to contact? You have to contact all EMOD providers. And so right now there are 6 of them, regardless of where they are located in the state. Denials, has any EMOD been helped along with the denial from another source? I would have to research that, and I would suspect yes, because of the length of time that we've offered EMODs, but I'd have to research that for you. The process can take 3 months, so ramps should start when the snow is melting, if needed, before winter. My problem is finding EMOD providers to do bathroom modifications, and how often is the Harmony provider list updated? The Harmony provider list is updated daily, meaning upon the event of certification of a provider, their info will be in there. Okay. Why would the pictures not be the responsibility of the contractors? Because their piece of it is not telling the need. As a care coordinator, your duty is to give us everything that SDS needs to know about in order to approve the request. So the contractor isn't doing that. They're just doing the work of the building. Okay, and that would be all of my questions that I have for now. I will, of course, will prepare an email for you, including our presentation materials and our Q&A and things like that. And I would like to go ahead and welcome Sherry for your presentation. So let me stop my screen share. Just give me a second here and I'll figure it out, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, working on it. Let's see, stop showing my screen. And I'm gonna change the presenter to you, Sherry. Are you ready?
Ready.
And you'll see a little thing pop up that says, you're the presenter, and it will show us on your screen.
Oh, good. All right, excellent. Does that show my email?
No, it does. I think that's an email. It's a reminder for HomeMAPS. Yeah,
All right,
you're good.
how about now?
You got it. Yep, you
Okay,
got it.
Great, great, great. Okay. Gosh, thank you so much, Car. That was amazing. Wonderful slides and a really great summary. And I am looking forward also to having a copy of your presentation myself. So good morning, everyone. I'm calling from beautiful Ani and Juneau. And today I'm going to introduce HomeMAP, provide a summary overview of universal design concepts and common home modifications, hopefully to empower you to use your personal space. I do want to mention that I have a lot of information. I have this really bad habit of wanting to give everyone biggest bang for their buck, and but I want to say, don't worry, I'll provide the slides and notes so you don't have to feel like you need to absorb all of it. My hope is that it piques your interest about possibilities. Let's see, there we go. So my name is Sherry Von Wolf. I work part-time as an accessibility specialist at SAIL, and I'm also an architect with a small part-time practice I share with my husband. I am not an expert on universal design or ADA, I do, however, have some practical experience through my prior work as a physical therapist and current work as an architect and accessibility specialist. And the bottom line really is that in my life, accessible design is incredibly meaningful to me. We're all impacted by the design of our built environment, and behind all things accessibility today are universal design concepts. A little background on SAIL. SAIL, for those of you that don't know, SAIL is an independent living and aging and disability resource center. We provide services in Southeast Alaska to seniors and people of all ages living with a disability. One of our projects at SAIL is a tool that provides resources and information on best practices for improving accessibility to age in place. This is called HomeMAP, which stands for Home Modifications for Aging in Place. And many of the examples I share today are drawn from this assessment. A little background on how Seoul came up with HomeMAP. According to AARP surveys, only 1% of our homes are built in such a way that people can easily remain in their home and age in place. Yet 90% of people say that they want to continue to age in place. And that's a tremendous difference. In our work at SAIL, we also know that there are a range of improvements from really simple, low cost, no cost things to do to the high end remodels, as well as a range of technologies that can help, but people may often not be aware of them. So HomeMAP is one way to get that information out to everyone. SAIL spent 5 years developing a training program, a comprehensive assessment guide, tools, templates, and quality assurance review with tremendous support from a lot of people. Sarah Besser and Lenny Esther were the original designers of HomeMAP. The Alaska Mental Health Trust Authority has provided a lot of support, both supporting what we're doing as well as financial support, First Bank as well, and the Kenai Peninsula Independent Living Center. So what's unique to HomeMAP is the independent living portion. It's based on independent living philosophy, which supports an individual's right and responsibility to control their own life and make the choices that are best for them. So as such, after a HomeMAP assessment, a report's provided that provides a range of options so that the person can choose the modification that makes the most sense to them. What's unique to HomeMAP versus, like, say, a general checklist that you might find online is this independent living piece. So HomeMAP resources were developed from a lot of other sources, including AARP resources, building codes and standards, Americans with Disabilities Act design standards, Fair Housing Act, and universal design. And today I'd like to focus on the universal design piece, as these concepts inform so many facets of our accessible built environment. Universal design is a term coined by an architect named Ronald Mace, and at its core, it exemplifies an all-inclusive philosophy of barrier-free design. Mace was born in New Jersey, and he contracted polio as a child. As a student at North Carolina State University School of Design, he encountered barriers getting around the campus while in his wheelchair, and he became an accessible built environment activist, starting with a focus first on accessible housing. And then he further championed accessible building codes and standards in the United States. Universal design is focused on making the environment more accessible above and beyond the minimum requirements that law may require. It pushes designers to focus attention on improving function for a larger range of people, not just a person with a disability. So what is a disability? According to Wiki, a disability is any condition that makes it more difficult for the person to do certain activities or effectively interact with the world around them, socially or materially. Universal design considers all people, all on a spectrum, and all experiencing some disability in different ways at different times in their life. These disabilities can be temporary or permanent, context-specific, or age-related. So for example, it can be something as simple as experiencing barriers from being pregnant, having a broken leg, being older, or even being a child. And bottom line is everyone has to figure out a way to cope and navigate with what they have in different contexts. So universal design seeks to level that playing field. Sorry, too fast. So the bottom line goal of universal design is that we work together and strive towards a barrier-free world that's built around universal design concepts where everything is easily accessible for everyone. I think it's an ambitious but a really, really important and meaningful goal, that we have a world where accessibility is the norm and not a requirement. This is a really wonderful poster, and again, I will send it with the slides and my notes, and so that you have it to look at more closely. But these are the principles of universal design, which it also includes adaptive and assistive technology. So number one is equitable in use, so everyone can access the same door. You don't have to have any, it doesn't require extra strength, or you can have your hands full. Flexibility and use is number two. Things that are designed, like they give the example of scissors, you can use right or left hand with it, that it's not designed so specific that it's not usable by a large group of people. Number three is simple and intuitive use. So this picture shows how you activate an emergency call. Number four is perceptible information. Designing things so that there's good contrast, that there's size that people can feel, that there's also, a way to, sorry, I'm looking at it thinking, what am I looking at? So that you can activate it without really super fine motor skills. Tolerance for error is similar to that, but also that the design minimizes hazards and adverse consequences of in unintended actions, and that it requires low physical effort, so it can be operated or activated efficiently with minimum fatigue by a large majority of people. And then number seven is equity, size and space for approach and use. So looking at places where things were designed to remove a barrier for someone with a disability, but in fact benefit everyone. The first one that everyone's familiar with is curb cuts. Curb cuts were developed in 1943 by a veteran named Jack Fisher, and he was frustrated that he and other vets with disabilities could not access streets in their wheelchairs. Now curb cuts are everywhere and used by and truly benefit everyone. In this photo, you can see someone pushing a pram and accessing a curb cut, another person traveler pulling luggage, bicyclists and skateboarders access curb cuts, as well as people who use wheelchairs. Automatic doors are based on universal design. This photo shows someone pushing a cart, another person also pulling an item, their luggage, carrying things through the door, a person who is using a power wheelchair who's accessing the door. And then since COVID, the automatic door companies are also saying, hey, they're pretty great. They are a way to minimize infection, spreading germs, which, it's definitely a prop for them, but also there's some truth to that. So just wanted to show that one. So design definitely needs to be innovative and inclusive, and we definitely need more improvements in the home. We're seeing more innovation right now with home design. This is an example of pull-down shelving for upper cabinets, and you can see that they're safer and helpful for everyone. It's also becoming more and more mainstream. You can get these, order these through Amazon. Another design concept that is based on universal design is designing multiple countertop heights. And this is great because seated users can sit together, whether you're using a wheelchair or sitting in a dining chair. And then the multiple heights benefit a lot of users doing different tasks. People come in different heights, and different tasks require different heights. Here's another image just showing how this cutout knee space under the sink. So someone who is seated could easily access the sink, as well as someone standing. You can see this little bit of shadow here. under the stovetop that is also a knee space for access. Couple more examples of residential modifications, universal design. This one shows also accessing with a knee space, multiple height countertops, accessible stove, and microwave. And this bottom one has a pull-out work area and knee space under the stovetop. And then final picture on these, just here is one with one of my favorite architects in Seattle, Karen Breitmeyer. This is her home, and all the creative and innovative things that she did, including this rollout work area, accessible upper cabinets, and roll under sink. And it's a really beautiful home. So one other area of universal design is captioning. This feature was originally intended for people with hearing impairment, but captioning benefits many people, not just those with hearing impairment. An example I can think of is being in the airport and trying to listen to the news, but with announcements overhead you can't hear, and with captioning you can follow. Another example is possibly you have sleeping kids and you don't want to wake them up with a volume. So a lot of people enjoy captioning. And sometimes if the speaker has an accent that you're not following well, captioning will help. I think there was a movie with Brad Pitt that I never knew what he was saying. And once I had captioning, it was pretty amazing to hear what he was saying. So, and then finally, like if you speak a different language, apps can translate and provide captioning so that you can still follow along. So as a person with a hearing loss, I am so grateful for captioning, but I'm also grateful because it supports multimodal learning. Like I learn best by seeing, hearing, reading, and writing. Universal design is seen in Utensils, and Cara had a great photo of adapted utensils as well. These are sort of some mainstream, I think the brand is called OXO brand. And then email. I watched this fabulous YouTube presentation by Alex Chan that I highly recommend, called The Curb Effect. And this is basically how things like curb cuts were designed for people with a disability, but actually benefit everyone. And he talked about email as similar as one of these curb cut effect examples. And Vincent Cerf, who's seated here on the lower right, is regarded as one of the fathers of the internet. And he's also a tremendous advocate for accessibility. He and his wife both have a hearing loss. I think his wife's is pretty significant. And according to Chan, Cerf in part developed email to allow him and his wife to communicate when not in the same rooms in a way other than through phones. So Cerf is not alone in needing assistance from technology, and his knowledge of disability drove design and advocacy. And just a couple more. Bendy straws, also developed for people with disability and benefiting all of us, as well as typewriters, which initially developed for people with vision loss. And I'm sure you all have other examples, and I would love to hear them or know about them in the notes or otherwise. But then moving on to homes. We can see that the everyday examples of universal design in our world, such as bendy straws and curb cuts, but as you can imagine, homes are a bit different. This is a photo of Rosemarie Rossetti's home in Columbus, Ohio. And Rosemarie had an accident and sustained a spinal cord injury, and she now uses a wheelchair for mobility. And she and her husband worked with architects and designers to build this universal design living laboratory as a national demonstration home. So it's been a catalyst for change in the design community and highlights the point that design really does shape our future. So if you do have an opportunity to build new, here are some of the things you might consider in design to remove as many barriers as possible for everyone who lives in your home, and also support aging in place, and including people who visit your home. But truthfully, more often, and again, this list will be on the slides, so I'm not going to read through them. I'll share them with you through the email. But we're often in the home we're in, and this is the home we want to stay in with the resources we have on hand. And not everyone can build new, so what do? Well, the list for modifying your existing home is similar. So the difference is you may be dealing with more barriers related to older designed homes, such as stairs or narrow doorways and small bathrooms. And since you're not designing from the beginning, that may mean adding ramps or stair chair lifts. Could include widening doorways or modifying kitchen and bathroom layouts to support aging in place. Many of the things that Kara showed some slides on with eMods. And just tying it back to the home map, a home map assessment would highlight the areas that are of concern to you and then offer suggested modifications, including no and low cost solutions. Also remark on available assistive technology and supportive services. For existing homes, there are some great and free tools available that provide an overall summary of universal design concepts to improve accessibility for all. This is one called Home Fit Guide, and it's put out by AARP, and it is free, and you can get it online. And it really does cover just the big picture of making a home more accessible through universal design concepts. And then they also offer this checklist that I will share with you as well. Just briefly about assistive technology, can range from everything from mobility aids like wheelchairs, scooters, walkers, canes, to hearing assistive devices like hearing aids or amplifying devices, glasses and magnifying glasses, or anything around augmentative communication, from simple picture boards to computer programs that synthesize speech. A home map can help identify these needs, and SAIL can also help with a referral to Assistive Technology of Alaska, also called ATLA, for further support if needed or desired. It can also include things like voice recognition programs or screen readers, screen enlargement applications, and even virtual assistant technology like Alexa. Universal design also addresses safety and alerting devices, thinking about things that connect to clocks, doorbells, telephones, baby monitors, or smoke detectors, things like kitchen stove shut-off or electric safety burners in case you turn the stove on and are called out of the room, and forget that it shuts your stove off, which is great. Floor mat with Caregiver Alert, just if you have someone that wanders, you can have indication, you can be alerted if they're up and about or out, or lifeline. So here's just a picture of a safety strobe and fire alarm. So it gives off both sound and a visual clue. And another example of sensory communication that can be tied into again, to the fire alarms, to doorbells, to baby monitors, to phones, and this one vibrates and flashes a light. Universal design also looks at activities of daily living, devices that help perform tasks such as cooking, dressing, and grooming. And then here's just a general simple example of technology assist, just a magnifier that you can use with your iPad. And this can be helpful for someone with low vision as well as someone who enjoys doing crafts. So looking at your house, simple things for improving accessibility. One easy place to improve accessibility is with door pulls on kitchen hardware. As from universal design point of view, loopholes are easier for people to use. Looking at changes in flooring level to prevent tripping hazard and that are easier to roll over. So this diagram shows that the recommendation is that if it's a blunt edge, it's 1/4 inch max, and if it's a beveled edge, it can be 1/2 inch high. And so you can see that on a door threshold, this door threshold has a bunch of levels, and it is somewhat of a tripping hazard, as well as a threshold that would be difficult to roll over with anything. And here's a flooring transition example that is also too high and a tripping hazard and would be difficult to roll over. So there's some really simple solutions to that. You can do from the spectrum. This is the lower cost end of the spectrum. There's these like mini ramps, these threshold transitions to help make it easier to roll across. These metal ones, as well as this dense rubber. So another area that is really important in terms of accessibility are doorways. And it's recommended that doors have a minimum clear opening width of 32 inches and have adequate maneuvering clearances so that you can be out of the way of the swing of the door. Of note is that when the door is open, the thickness of the door narrows the opening. So you'll notice here where she's measuring from the clear opening is from the door stop to the edge of the door here. And here's a photo of doorways that are too narrow and how they can be challenging. In this lower picture, it's not wide enough for this person's wheels to clear, the wheelchair user's wheels to clear, and it's also then puts him at risk for injuring his hands. In this picture, it's not wide enough for the person assisting to maneuver around to get in and help. So what do you do? What can you do if the door is ways too narrow? One really easy low-cost option is to replace the door hinges with these hinges called swing clear hinges. And I mentioned that when you open a doorway, a normal doorway, the width of the doorway narrows the door opening. With the swing clear hinges, it takes the door all the way out of the opening, so you gain almost 2 inches of clear space. Another option is to replace with a barn door. And so again, this gets rid of the door that is narrowing the opening, the width of the door narrowing the opening. But it also makes it clear, makes more maneuvering space where the previous swing of the door might have gotten in the way. If there's still not enough room in the door opening, you can take off the door stops and gain another inch, so you can get up to 3 inches more clear opening width by hanging a barn door. And if that's still not enough, you might consider installing a wider door. It's definitely a bigger project, but you can customize the opening to whatever size works for you, works best for you. Doors and hardware are an important universal design consideration. In residence, the most common intervention is to replace with these lever style. These are helpful for everyone. They're easy to open if you have your hands full, if you can't grip something tightly, or even for small children can use this type of handle. And there's also doorways, automatic door openers to help with clear opening. Grab bars are really useful and helpful. This is a menagerie of grab bars. You can put them in wherever you need them in your own home. Just want to make sure you install them firmly into studs. They can be at an angle, they can be vertical, they can be horizontal, however it works best for you, including around the toilet. So grab bars around the toilet can be useful, as well as toilet support bars. And these are some things that we talk about in HomeMAP, and we provide some design standards for installation, but again, put them where they're most useful for you. Lever hardware on sinks is a universal design. Doesn't require much grip strength, and they're easy to activate. Tubs and shower chairs are useful, accessible features. And sometimes this is all you need. Sometimes adjustable shower heads can make the shower more accessible to more people. But you may decide that removing a tub and putting in a shower is more useful. Here's one with a 4-inch lip. That still may be difficult for people to step over. And here's one similar to the photo that Cara showed, which is a barrier-free shower, which is accessible to everyone. I just want to point out that if you don't have a trench drain, be sure to install this water dam so that you can keep the water in the shower. Ramps may be something that come up in residential needs, especially in older homes. Consider the slope, the landing, and the length. Slope is basically how steep it is and defined as rise over run. And for ADA, the ideal maximum slope is 1 to 12, which means that for every inch of rise, you need a foot of run in the ramp. And then also you don't want to go more than 30 feet without a resting platform. And this is so that it's not fatiguing going up, but also you can control acceleration going down. A landing at the top and the bottom, a level landing is really important. You can see how difficult it is to both try and operate the door opener and then get to the door without a level landing. And I notice we are at 12:01, so I am just going to show you a few more slides and wrap this up. People are often surprised at how big a ramp needs to be to meet the ADA recommended slope of 1 to 12. So this is 18 inches above the ground, and so you need 18 feet of ramp. This is just a beautiful entry ramp that is low slope, but what I like about it is that it provides universal access, so everyone has the same way of getting in the home. Just a quick also, ramps that are tied into bridges can be nice. Vertical platform lifts are another option, and I believe that was in Kara's slides as well. They are incline platform lifts that can be helpful if the stairs are wide enough. And then of course, stair chair lifts. But with those, I just want to mention that think about the width of the stairs, if you need to curve it to go up another landing, and then also think about the person's balance and transferability. Okay, so that's the 10,210 foot overview and a brief introduction. I will make these slides available with my notes as well. I also have some additional slides on potential funding sources in addition to the EMODs that may support your accessibility goals. And I will end with the contact information. And thank you all very much. I'm going to stop.
Thank you, Sherry.
Yeah. Let me stop sharing my screen. Great.
Yeah, thanks, Sherry. I really learned a lot, and I enjoyed especially the universal design pieces. Does anyone have any questions or comments as we're just getting ready to close here? Just write them in for us. One person asked where could they find rubber threshold transitions, and I just kind of Googled a little bit, and they were really easy to find.
Amazon.
And we can send you, yeah, we can send you information via email and send you our presentations and things like that, and then you can take a look at the specifics there. When we close the session, I did put a survey in, so a survey will launch. Okay, it should launch, and it'll be a survey where it says it's like 5 quick questions. What did you know before? What did you know after? So if you could fill that out for us, we would certainly very much love that. And we'll post our recording of our session on our YouTube channel as well. So, you can check that out if you want to at some point. And we'll send you an email with all this information. Give us some time, to get that all together, and especially time for it to load up onto YouTube because it doesn't happen right away. Okay, I'm not seeing any specific questions. So I just really want to thank everybody for being here, and Sherry and Maggie for your wonderful expert help in this topic. It's very important and always interesting to me. Fun to see where we are in our progression of universal design is kind of things we all know about. That's always informative to me and enjoyable. And hopefully we'll see our care coordinators in our further trainings in 2022, especially our one about EMODs and SME and techniques. So in the meantime, take care. Have a great holiday season, and we'll catch up with you soon. Okay?
Thank
Goodbye
you,
for
Carmen.
now.